I don't think you can breathe, rest and reflect for too long.
No.
Roberto De Zerbi gone. Kieran McKenna seemed to be their preferred pick, but he's chosen to stay on at Ipswich. It's unusual, isn't it, for a club like Brighton, Ali, because they always seem to know which direction they're moving in, that suddenly they're in a tricky situation.
Yeah, I think the next maybe couple of weeks or so are vital for Brighton, Jeff, because I don't know what you think yourself. I just thought they dipped a little bit towards the end of last season. I really did. I thought, which is understandable and in many ways acceptable for a club like that, who a lot of people would argue, myself included, that they probably overachieved in certain areas. But I just think, Jeff, I don't know. I just think they've got to be very, very careful now, because it could be easy to slip again, and then before you know it, you're in trouble. I don't think they will. I think the club is extremely well run, but I think the next appointment for them is probably as an important one as they've had in the last 3 or 4, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, and the favourite, and he's odds on in some quarters now, is Graham Potter.
Yeah.
Now, I worry that a return for Graham Potter, would polarise the fans, because a lot of Brighton fans, I'm sure, would forgive and forget. But he went to Chelsea on a 5-year deal. He didn't just go to Chelsea. He took his assistant.
Yep.
He took 3 coaches. He took the assistant head of recruitment. I mean, it left Brighton in a bit of a mess. Okay, they acted swiftly and they brought in De Zerbi. You did a fantastic job for them, but you just worry about what the mood would be like at the Amex if Graham Potter comes back. I
agree with you, and for that reason, I think I'd have a massive question mark about the reappointment of Graham Potter. For that reason, not for the reason and his own ability and his coaching ability and his managerial ability. I think in many ways that would be a good move. But in terms of uniting a fan base, which, let's be honest, Jeff, if you want to hit the ground running, is vital, is absolutely vital. I think the split in the Brighton fans would not be a good thing at all, clearly. And for that reason, I'm not sure it'd be a good move for Potter or Brighton.
Yeah, and he's an intelligent individual, and he will realise that. That is for sure. Look, here's a little thought. It comes from Alistair, who's a Partick Thistle fan. And he says, morning, fellas. Listening to the conversation this morning, I reckon there is a wee cog hiding away, and that cog is Brendan Rodgers. He doesn't really want to be at Celtic. He's awaiting an opening. He won't have the cash for the Champions League. They'll get pumped in every game. He is biding his time. Thoughts? ? Says Alistair, the Partick Thistle fan. So, Ali, thoughts? Brendan Rodgers.
There is an element of me that thinks Brendan, will want to move on again. I genuinely believe that. Of course, he's had a great success, very successful season, winning a league and cup double, goes without saying. And his CV once again is back up there. I think Alistair makes a valid point as well, because we've seen, obviously, in recent years, Scottish teams participating at the very, very top level, and it is bordering on impossible for them to compete in the Champions League. And I just think Celtic would be the exact same again next year. So there's still probably an element, well, I know for a fact there's an element of some of the Celtic support, no matter what Brendan does, will not be happy with Brendan back at Celtic because the way he left in the first place, or the way they see the way he left in the first place. So it would not, for me, I think Alistair makes a great point. It would not be a shock at all to me if Brendan moved on and moved back south.
Yeah, and by the way, I got no idea whether Brighton have got an interest or not, but Brendan's reputation with young players, well, that would fit the bill at Brighton absolutely perfectly. However, we shall see. Mark and Harry, the Leicester City fans, by the way, says, as Leicester fans, I think Enzo Maresca did as well, but just because he used to be Pep's assistant, he might not be good enough for Chelsea. For Leicester's new manager, we need David Moyes. Well, that would be interesting. It would be a change in direction, wouldn't it? But boy, if you want a manager with Premier League experience, then David Moyes has got that in spades. Yeah. 03717 223344. Brighton fans, would you want Graham Potter back? Would you want Brendan Rodgers in charge? Leicester City fans, do you want David Moyes as your next manager, assuming Enzo Maresca moves on? Give us a call this morning. We'd love to hear from you.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.